May intro pa ba?
Hello, good evening everyone. Good evening IFNG. Good evening Niner Squad. So tonight we are on our speaking lecture with Miss Den from 9.09. So BFF, take it away na.
Hi, okay. Okay na bang audio? Okay, there you go. Hi guys, good afternoon. To those who are located in the Middle East, good evening to those here in the Philippines. Good morning if there are people watching on the other parts of the world. So I'm Den Solis, and once again, I will be with you for today for our speaking lecture. So let me just share my screen just a moment. Okay, we will do this very quickly. I will be having a short short lecture at first, but I'd like us to have at least oh wait, share screen pala. Okay, I'd like us to have a mock type of practice. Yeah. So for those who are in Zoom and for those who are joining us, unfortunately though, guys, for those who are watching or participating via FB Live, we don't have any means to hear your voices. So if we can just share the link at least, probably they can log in here via Zoom if they want to participate. So I will be calling those people later on for mock from those who are here logged in via Zoom. Okay, so here you go. I'm sharing my screen now. Ayan. So we'll be having so much fun for today. Okay, let me just share my screen. Okay, present na tayo. There you go, guys. I hope you can see my screen. Yeah, so Ielts speaking test that we will be discussing everything that has to do with this one. But as I've mentioned, I'll be doing this really quickly. I'll just cover the basics. And then after I've covered the basics, later on, probably we can accommodate around 2 or 3 participants coming from Zoom. Okay, so let's begin. So in IELTS speaking, what we need to know, of course, we will cover 4 aspects here. So the first one is the overview, the do's and don'ts, and then some of the common topics. Or I think the common topics probably we can just look or we can just learn about the common topics during the mock speaking. So we'll see about the time that we have. So probably we have all the time in the world. No, we don't have. So that's why we can just make use of this one. Okay, so let's go for the overview. As most of you know, IELTS speaking is actually, it can probably be said that it's the shortest subtest among the 4 subtests in IELTS. In fact, it covers for about 11 to 14 minutes only. So that short. So can you just imagine if you are a participant or if you are an examinee who is targeting a score of, let's say, 7, can I see how many are targeting 7 for their scores in speaking? Yeah, for the Zoom participants, how many of you guys are targeting 7? Because usually, most of the students that I'm coaching, they want to have a 7 as a target for speaking because they're bound to go to the US. For the others, they can get or they're allowed to get a 6.5, but more or less it's a 7 for this one. So see, what I mean to say with this one is you only have 11 to 14 minutes to show your skills when it comes to speaking. So that's the only time that you have. So you need to prepare well when it comes to this subtest. Okay. In terms of preparation, you have to know how this test is administered and what are the parts. So as you can see on your screen, we have 3 parts for the speaking subtest. So we have here your introduction and your introduction and your interview portion. That's part 1, and then you have part 2 over here, which is wherein you'll be given a task card. This is the individual or the long term part, and then of course the part 3. This is the most challenging for most of us. I found it challenging also when I sat for my exam. So part 3 is the two-way discussion. Okay, we're in. So if we're going to break these down, so we have the parts here. In terms of duration, there's a range in terms of the minutes. For part one, usually it takes around 4 to 5 minutes. And for the context questions for this one, since this is the easiest, you're just given personal or general questions that involve topics such as yourself, your preferences, or sometimes your hometown, or your family, or anything about your job as well. So these questions are rather easy to answer only. But I've had an interesting experience wherein a student of mine had a harder time to answer part one um, versus answering part three. She can easily get away with giving elaborate answers for part three, and with the context or with the conceptual questions rather than um, describing her preferences, or let's say the house that she lived in when she was younger. Probably it was because, or it's not me who mentioned this, she said that she was an introvert and it was hard for her to discuss these kinds of things because it involves her personal, it involves information about her own self, and for her it was hard to explain these things. So what's the purpose of me letting you know these kinds of things? It's just that for speaking, or much like in any subtest here in IELTS, part of your preparation should be knowing your strengths and weaknesses. And as you know your strengths and weaknesses, you will be able to reinforce whatever it is that you're good at. And for your weaknesses, you may be able to address them and turn these weaknesses into further strengths that may help you attain your target score. Okay, next, let's go for part two. So this usually takes around 3 to 4 minutes. And then you are given 1 minute to prepare for this one. And then around 2 minutes to talk. Okay. There are some who say that examiners may not let you finish the 2 minutes allotted for part two, but there are some who lets you talk up until the last second of the 2 minutes. So you will never know what kind of examiner you'll be given, right? So that's why when it comes to your preparation, it is essential for you to practice talking for 2 minutes. How can you do that? You can just read questions or read task cards that are available online. So you can just type them, search them online, and then try to answer, record yourself so that more or less you would know already if you talk, or you'll be able to gauge in terms of your capacity to elaborate your idea so that you'll be able to reach the 2 minutes. Okay. And then please do take note that for this particular section of your speaking subtest, you will be given a task card. So prior to the pandemic, there was, I think they administered the speaking test with via face-to-face. Okay. And then if it is a face-to-face kind of speaking subtest, you will be given, I think, a booklet that is open to the page that already contains the task 2 question that is assigned to you. But right now, since the pandemic is since the pandemic is since the pandemic has a lot of restrictions, no, and this is administered using video conferencing applications such as Zoom. So you will not be given a physical book, but instead the task card will appear in front of you through the screen. Okay, so it will be the examiner will share the screen, and then on your screen appears your question. So there. In terms of elaboration, sometimes you might find it hard to elaborate your answers, but do take note that for your part 2, you will be given questions, a main topic, and then under the main topic are follow-up questions that you can use in terms of your elaboration of your part 2. Okay. The range of topics actually is about people, from people to places to events, even traditions, what else? Specific situations, and whatnot. Qualities, ambitions, different topics name it, they have it under Ielts. Okay? And then lastly, for part 3, you will be given 4 to 5 minutes for this section. And then usually the questions for part 3 are more abstract in terms of its nature. And that's why it's essential for you to express your opinions and to give reasons as you elaborate also. Because for the, okay, wait, let me just check. There's a question from Lucas here. Ma'am, okay lang ba na hindi sunod-sunod yung sequence, masagutan yung bulleted questions? Kasi sa akin, comfortable ako na magsalita ng 2 minutes but hindi yung nasusundan yung bullet. Yes, it's okay not to follow the chronology of the questions. Okay lang na hindi sunod-sunod. If, for example, you answer the first bullet first, and then next you will answer the third or fourth bullet, it's okay. It's just that you have to make sure though that even if you're not following the chronology of the questions, still yung continuity ng answer mo is something that is easy to understand para sa listener pa rin. So because continuity is one category or one band descriptor or criteria that is used to mark or to grade you for the speaking. Okay, so okay lang yun. It's okay. I did not also follow the chronology. Why did I not follow? When I sat for my exam, I did not follow because there are some details that I mentioned that is part of the bullet number 1 that I thought, okay, that's bullet number 4 na pala. So yun, may mga ganon. How about hindi nasagutan lahat ng question pero natapos yung 2 minutes? Okay, so in speaking, later on, we will be discussing the marking criteria for this one. So don't you worry because in speaking, there is no task achievement sa marking criteria. So I will be further discussing that a little later. Okay. And then, what else? So yun, yung sample na topics, again sample topics lang ito. This does not cover the whole topic. Anything under the sun nga si Ielts. So you can have topics such as rules, recycling, mathematics, and then you have education, sometimes harder topics like globalization, nanotechnology, robotics, yung mga ganyan. Sometimes yung mga questions na yon lumalabas siya for this one. Wait, let me just close this one. Okay, and then of course you have for part 1 and part 3, since we said it's composed of 11 to 30, it comprises 11 to 30 minutes, 11 to 14 minutes of your whole speaking exam. We don't know if your part 1 will be exactly 4 minutes or 5 minutes, or your part 3 would take longer. Some students said na yung part 1 nila is longer than their part 3. Some said that for part 1, they only had 4 questions, and then for part 3, they have like several questions. It actually depends on your examiner. But ultimately, for part 2, usually it's really 3 to 4 minutes lang. 3 to 4 minutes lang siya. Kasi you have a specific time for this one. Okay? Yan. Thank you so much for the questions, Lucas. And for the rest who are also having their questions, please do send them in. Send them in. Parang text lang. Okay. There you go. Tapos, what else? So, in terms of the duration, since we know that it's around 11 to 14 minutes, it's best if you are able to elaborate your answers. Why? Because if, for example, the allotted time for part 3 is 4 to 5 minutes, if you're given one question and your answer is just a short answer, then logically, it would take you more, or the examiner would ask you more questions to cover up for the whole 4 to 5 minutes of your part 3. Rather than, or compared to, if you're able to elaborate your answers, then you would be asked lesser questions. Now, personally, I like the second situation better. I like to talk and talk and talk because in that way, I'm not depending on the examiner. I'm not looking out for cues from the examiner, and me elaborating my answers lessens the risk for the examiner to ask questions. Personally for me, if I hear the examiner's voice, I get really nervous. So that's why it's just okay for me to talk and talk and talk. So mas okay na yung okay nagsasalita kaysa si examiner. Okay? So yun. But of course, when you're talking, just do make sure that you're still making sense, right? So yun. Okay, next. So this is the marking criteria that I was talking about a while ago. So in here, as you can see, we have fluency and coherence, there's pronunciation, there's grammatical range and accuracy, and there's lexical resource and vocabulary. Now, the two criteria at the bottom, yung grammatical range and accuracy, as well as lexical resource and vocabulary, you can see them in writing also. Correct? This is also a criteria for writing. Why? Because in speaking, it also measures, since it measures your capacity to speak using the language, the English language, it measures if you're able to use proper if you're able to use proper grammar, and in terms also of your vocabulary, how wide is your range? Are you using collocations? Are you using transitional devices? So yun, it shows that. So that's why these two characteristics or these two criteria are essential. Now, the two above, these two, yan. So fluency and coherence, considered as one na siya. And then sorry, where is that? Oopsie. Okay, sorry. Now, for pronunciation and coherence, these two criteria are unique for speaking. So because of course you cannot hear your writing, that's why yung pronunciation, it's not there. Fluency and coherence also, it's not there. The two criteria that you see above is dependent on your delivery, or the manner by which you deliver your answers, your fluency and your coherence. For some people, they have problems when it comes to their grammar. So there are some people who you might know that are having concerns when it comes to their subject-verb agreement, or sometimes their sentence structures, but then they just keep on talking and talking and talking and talking, right? Even if their tenses are different, you can still understand because somehow they're a little fluent when it comes to their answer. So it's okay. Okay. Also, in terms of pronunciation, there are factors that involve pronunciation, such as accent. We Filipinos, we're lucky because we have a neutral accent. Okay, it's just that in terms of accent, for those who have, let's say, provincial accents, so yung mga Chavacano, Bisaya, ano yun, parang those who are natives of Pangasinan, the northern provinces, we all have accents. Ako, I have accent also sometimes. Not because I was born in these areas, but because I easily mimic those things that I hear. So when I had a boss, when I had a Chinese boss, the manner by which she speaks in Filipino, I easily adapt it. I don't know why. But anyway, so yun. Okay lang. Okay lang if you have accent. If very distinct yung Visayan accent nyo, it's okay as long as it's easy to understand. As long as the message of your answer is easy to understand. Okay? But if, for example, you have certain problems when it comes to, say, words like both and bought. You meant to say, I bought this shirt. But instead of saying, I bought this shirt, you said, I bought this shirt. Then that's the time that you will have a problem because the essence of the whole sentence is different now. So yun lang. You have to still, even if you have that provincial accent, you still have to work out on your pronunciations. If you have these accents, you try to focus on, usually for us Filipinos, our problems are THs, the soft THs and the hard THs, yung sound ng TH, the, thank you. So usually these are our problems, and Twitter, sometimes yun yung mga problems natin, but it's okay. You don't need to sound as if you have an American accent or A British accent, maybe. See, I cannot do it. I cannot do it. Okay, why not focus on the accent? Later on, I'll be discussing it. But in terms of the criteria, these are the four. Okay, as I've mentioned a while ago, there is no criteria about task achievement or task response, unlike in writing, wherein it measures if you're able to um, explain your graph or your chart or answer all the bullets in your letter for general training. Or let's say if you're having writing task two, your task achievement, your task achievement and your task response measures also if you're able to address the question properly. So in here in speaking, that is not a concern. It's just that in terms of, I think, the task achievement, although we don't have a criteria for that, the closest thing that can be related to that is if you are able to answer the question. Because sometimes, because we're confused or nervous or we have anxiety attacks, sometimes we don't get to hear the question properly and be answered differently. So instead of answering the question specifically, we answer about a different topic. Sometimes it happens. So yun. Okay. There you go. Each criteria is each criteria is equally divided. So for your whole score, for the overall band score, 25% comes from fluency and coherence, and then the other 25% for pronunciation, another 25 for grammar, and then vocab also is another 25%. So equally divided naman sila. So don't you worry if you have accent problems, because you have fluency and coherence, you have grammar, and you have vocabulary to at least pull up your grades. So yun, equally divided. So it means that you're not that but hindi ka lugi. You're given equal opportunities to make the grade or to make up for the grade that you want to achieve for this one. Okay. Next. A wise man speaks because he has something to say, and the fool speaks because he has to say something. This is according to Plato. Now, what I would want everyone to know is that we are all wise. It's not that you don't have anything to say, but it's just that sometimes you're hesitating about the things that you need to say. So you're not sure if this is correct, if this is not, or sometimes you have already an idea when it comes to the question, but you're hesitating when it comes to your answers because you're thinking too much about the criteria that I previously mentioned. You're thinking, what is the grammar that I need to use for this one? Is my tense correct if I use this word? Yung ganon. Sometimes you have these hesitations, and these hesitations hinder you from speaking well and from speaking freely. So yun. Okay. Now, in terms of, dito, keywords. Very essential for me yung keywords. I've been teaching or I've been moderating Ielts writing practice at 9.09er. And for the writing practice, I keep on saying that it's essential for you to identify your keywords. Same goes for actually all the subtests in IELTS. In listening, you need to identify the keywords by looking at the questions. Same goes also for the reading subtest. You need to check first the questions. You need to find keywords, or let's say highlight the keywords first so that you know what you'll be looking for in the passage for listening, so that you know what you'll need to hear according to the audio. Same goes for writing. You need to identify the keywords so that if you know the keywords from the task description, you know the arguments that you'll make if it hit the question or not. In speaking, these keywords also help you identify what answers the examiner is looking for, and the keywords also help you think beyond what your first answer is. Yung parang elaboration ninyo. If you know the keywords, if you forgot the first thought that came to your mind, okay. For example, the question was, Give me a question. Ano bang question? Sige, let's ask for audience participation. Ayan, BFF, pa-assist ako for participants sa Facebook, please.
Sure,
O yan,
VP.
pero thank you, BFF. Okay. Pero dito, yan, sige. For those who are in Zoom, because my Zoom chat is open, please give me a question and then let's identify yung keywords natin dito para we can understand that. Si Lucas asked a question, pero not. So usually, sige, let's ask a question to myself. Kunyari, the question is, ano ba yung first na question? What was a good news that you received recently? So, something like that. So, ano yung keywords dun sa question na yun? What was a good news that you received recently? So, good news is one keyword. Pwedeng phrase pala yung keywords nyo. So, good news and then you. Okay. I'm just raising my hand when ma'am asked about if we need 7 on our speaking. Sorry, sir. Okay, sige. Naku, sorry, hindi ko po napansin. Okay. Someone is also raising his hand. Is this Eds? Eds. Nag-raise si Eds ng hand. Gusto ba ni Eds to ask a question? Bigyan natin siya ng chance. Pwede siya mag-speak. Or napindot lang. Pwede namang napindot lang din. How to avoid wasting time. Okay, good. Thank you for the question, Ariel. I think Ariel is a girl. Okay, sige. I'll answer that question. Tuloy lang muna natin si keywords. So, what was the good news that you received recently? So, another keyword, meron tayong good news, merong you, tsaka meron na tayong recently. So, yung mga keywords na yon will help you think of what you'll be answering for that particular question. Good news, news siya, pero good. Kasi sometimes you forget yung good na part, pero you just think about news. So, pwedeng, because of your nervousness, you thought about just saying any particular news. Tapos, you might, or the examiner might think that you were off topic already. Now, it's okay to say news in general that is not good as long as you just acknowledge first that you cannot answer or you cannot give any good news. So probably if you cannot give a good news, so you will answer something like this. Sadly, because of everything that we have experienced right now, because of the economic downtrend of our trade and industries, and also because of the clamor of the nursing profession and the healthcare industry, because of the strains in terms of how the COVID-19 pandemic has affected their industry, I cannot think of any good news at all. Unfortunately, that is my case up to this moment. But in terms of news in general, I would rather highlight something that I've read, that people are now experiencing severe drought in certain parts of the United States because of ganto. Pwede yun. So yung mga ganon. It's just that you have to acknowledge first that you cannot give a good news so that your examiner will know that, okay, you have no comprehension problem. You heard my question right, that I was asking for a good news, but then again, you cannot give a good news. So you admit first. Admit first. Acknowledge and admit that you cannot answer that question, but still keep on talking. Okay? Keep on talking. Eme lang yan. Okay, next, I'll answer the question, how to avoid wasting time. Ariel, in terms of wasting time, does it have something to do? I think probably when it comes to your pauses and hesitations. So in terms of wasting time as you talk, try to limit your use of your fillers. Also, in terms of your talking, you're wasting time if you pause a lot. Talking or speaking in general, when we are trying to talk, in a conversational manner, there are instances wherein we pause. There are instances wherein we try to extend the words when we're trying to emphasize probably. Yung ganun. Can you see also yung intonations also? The rise and the lows, yung mga rise and declines when it comes to my voice. You can do that. But in terms of wasting time, as long as you're trying to answer the question, um, it's something that will work favorably for you. But for example, you're given a question that is a little hard for you to answer, it's a little difficult, or probably it's a question that you don't have any idea about. Probably before answering, you can buy yourself some time first. You can pause first, or you can ask the examiner to repeat the question for you. So you're buying time in that way, because if, for example, you're given a difficult question and then right then and there, after the examiner says the last word of the question, you try to answer immediately, and your pace is something like fast. You begin with a fast pacing, and then um, you pause. It seems awkward. No, it doesn't seem awkward. It's awkward, right? It's an awkward situation to put yourself to. So that's why I think for me, before answering a question that is difficult, so as not um, to avoid that awkward, so as to avoid that awkwardness, in that instance or that chance wherein you're going to waste your time, at the beginning, organize your thought first. Try to buy some time at the beginning so that more or less the ideas may be completely aligned already. Or if there are instances wherein you might be missing this one point, and then there's a missing spot, and then there's a next sentence or a next idea already. Yung from sentence A to sentence C, may missing spot dito. So you can try to buy some time in the middle, pero do not do it often. Kasi the examiners know that you're buying some time, you're using fillers, yung mga ganun. So organize your thoughts first. Okay. Thank you so much, Ariel, for this question. I hope I answered it correctly, though. Okay, next, what else? So after this one, wait, let me try to open up this one. All right, so here, after that one, if we'd like to more or less check out on, oopsie. Yeah, I'm looking at the chats already. There. Yeah. Don't be shy. Come on. Okay, don't be shy. You're wasting time. What else? Yeah. Keep your questions coming, ha. I'll be glad to assist the questions later on. Pero we will also be giving you time to answer mock questions. So what we'll do later on is to answer part 1, part 2, and part 3. Yeah. So for the do's and don'ts, yeah, and the first do that I have here is be prepared. Okay? I hope that all of you are giving yourself enough time to prepare for IELTS. Because number one, IELTS is something that you're using your resources. So resources in terms of your time, in terms of your energy, in terms, of course, of your monetary resources. But this is not a free test. The rate of your IELTS exam varies depending on your location and on the exchange rate, right? So that is why it's essential for you to be able to prepare well, to prepare smartly, in fact, in terms of this one. I keep on telling my students, the writing practice students know this. I keep on saying to them that it's okay to work hard and to study hard, but I think for me, more essential type of preparation in study would be studying smartly. So you have to know, what is my target score? If my target score in speaking is this, if it's 7, and what do I need to do so that I'm assured that I can already get a 7? Of course, you need to get your baseline. You need to get what is my score as of the moment. And if, for example, my score is lower, my baseline is lower than my target score, how much time do I need to prepare for that one? Okay. In terms of preparation, please do also take chance to avail of the resources available online and then yung mga review centers. So like in 9.09er, we give you a lot of opportunities for your review. Aside from your live lectures, we do have FB live sessions. Ano pa ba? We have writing practice, speaking practice. Yun, meron speaking practice every 9 p.m. up until 12 midnight Philippine time for all the 9.09er enrollees. So apart from that, we also have ano ba, yung mga FB live sessions. So we do conduct these in partnership with all the other organizations. So in terms of or in terms of the live sessions, let me just segue through this special announcement. So for those who will be or who are attending the IFNG Live. So on October 27, yung schedule na yan is intended for visa processing. And same time pa rin naman, 9 to 11. Pero dun sa October 27 session, ay guys, attend kayo dito because your speaker will be none other than our CEO and founder, Mr. Irvin Neil Temporal. So, hands up talaga ako dito. Super, super hands up talaga. Sir Irvin yan, guys. 'Di ba? Tatanggi pa ba kayo? And tatanggi pa ba kayo kung visa processing? Kung pera na yan, guys. Magta-translate yan sa pera. I'm not sure kung may pa-free visa, Sir Mr. M. Pero titingnan natin kung anong kayang gawin ni Sir Irvin sa visa. Sana all nga. Oo. So, yun. Pero yun, yung visa processing will involve countries such as the United States, United Kingdom, Ireland, ano pa ba? Sabi niya, meron siyang Canada, and then the countries south part. So we have Australia and New Zealand. O, bongga, di ba? Ang dami. So be prepared. Know these things beforehand kasi these things will help you in achieving your dreams, in achieving your target score. Also, part of your preparedness kasi din is, a while ago, I showed you already yung mga target score, correct? So in terms of the target score, or in terms of the marking criteria, know your strength. Saan ka ba mahina? Saan ka ba malakas? So if your strength is grammar already, what happens, what is your state when it comes to your fluency? What is your problem in fluency? How can you address your problem in fluency? So prepared kayo lahat dapat. And in speaking, part of your preparedness is actually speaking. Kasi hindi ka pwedeng mag-prepare in speaking by just listening to people who speak and not talking at all. Good evening, Sir Rafael Luis Lopez. You have a question. Yes. What can you do or say if you absolutely have no idea about the question the examiner asked you? Okay. Examiners' questions that are hard to answer. Give me one topic that is hard to answer. Pag no idea, sir, it's okay to say or admit first that you have no idea. Just like the example that I gave a while ago. The question was about the good news that you received. Ay, taray, space tourism. So yun, if you have no idea, admit first and then talk about something else. Basta ang importante, you acknowledge and you admit that you don't have any idea about it. Okay, sige. Ay, si Mr. M, sinong susundin natin? Space tourism and national identity. Ano dito? BFF, alin ang sasabihin mo? National identity ba? Or space tourism? Kay Miss ano na lang, tingnan natin. Okay. Anything. So national identity. If you don't know anything about national identity, first admit. National identity is something that I'm not really well versed of. But all I can say is in terms of identity, a person begins to have an identity because of influences from the people around them or the experiences that have shaped them in the past. So even if a person is currently in a favorable condition as of the moment, if during his past he has negative influences, probably his identity may be a little stained because of those previous experiences. Charness. May mga ganon. Diba? Parang, in general, I don't know anything about national identity. But, ano yung keywords natin? National identity. So, identity for me is something that is easier to explain rather than national. So, something like that. Or, if you would want to target probably dun sa national identity na topic, you can say national. National identity is a vague idea for me, but in terms of the national sense of pride, all I can say is that as a Filipina, I am one which, or I am one, wait lang, nandidisturb ako ito. I am one who actually is proud of the nationality that the nationality that I have as a Filipina. I bear pride whenever I set foot to another country, knowing that my country, the Philippines, is one that can compete when it comes to culture, when it comes to arts, and also in terms of intelligence as well. Yung mga ganon. So, national lang yung mga ganyan-ganyang levels. Pero, yun nga, again ha, if you don't know anything about the topic, you can try to first muna, prepare nyo yung sarili nyo. Part of the preparation is exposing yourself to different kinds of topics. If you know that topics such as national identity, topics such as nanotechnology, and topics such as, let's say, genetic engineering, if you know that these are possible topics that might appear, expose yourself to these topics. Read. If you can watch Netflix, documentaries, or documentaries on YouTube, you can do so. Okay? Expose yourselves para you can naman zero talaga. Sometimes you have experiences related to this, not really in terms of actual na parang national identity experience or something like that, pero you can relate certain ideas to this. Yeah. Somehow, yung answer ko, hindi naman yung tipong, if for example, the topic is national identity, I don't answer in terms of what's my favorite food. Meron pa rin relation. Somehow, may relation pa rin. It's just that I didn't actually just capture the whole essence of the question. But, ayun nga, answer first or say first and admit first that you don't know anything about it. Related pa rin naman siya. In a sense, related pa rin. Okay. Kailangan pa din mag-offer ng pagkakaintindi sa tanong kasi di lang pwede na hindi mo alam. Yes. Oh, that's correct, BFF. So, pwede nga lang. Nanotechnology. Okay, nanotechnology and nanoscience. This is an interesting topic. But it's sometimes we're just confused with certain topics like nanotechnology because it appears as if these topics are way out of our league. Yung parang, nanotechnology? Anong yan? Si nanotechnology? I'm just a humble registered nutritionist dietitian. I don't know anything about nanotechnology. But, diba, if you've prepared well enough about that, somehow you have an idea already about these factors. Even if you don't know the exact or the specifics of nanotechnology, probably you can relate something about technology or the development of technology dun sa parts na to. Okay, or sa topics na to. Republic Act or legal matters. If the topic is Republic Act or legal matters, I will not give specifics because I'm not versed when it comes to legal matters. But all I know is that rules, regulations, laws are essential in our community. So yung mga ganon, di ba? It can shape us or it can break us. If you break the law, there are consequences. Yung mga ganyan. Okay. China-challenge sa ng mga BFF. Okay. This will be, yan. Okay, there you go. And then, yan, yung tatlo, yung be confident, focus, and relax, these are the things that you can do, yung mga do's ninyo during your actual exam. Be confident, yan. I chose this one because, yun nga, there are instances or most of the speaking exams nowadays are conducted via video conferencing applications. So kaya, even if you have video conferencing applications used for your actual speaking exam, you can still show that you're confident. Okay. Another thing, in terms of confidence, as you can see here, smiling si ano, diba? Smiling si Koya. So if the guy is smiling, as an examinee, you should also need to smile because sometimes all you just need to do is to actually just channel the inner positivity that there is in the space that you have. For example, you have a face-to-face kind of speaking interview. I-channel mo yung inner positivity. Mag-smile ka na agad because sometimes you attract also positivity when you're exuding positivity. 'Di ba? If for example, you're a person na naka-slouch ka, ganyan, you're not dressed well, you're not confident, yun pa lang, first impression pa lang would really matter already dun sa examiner. Yan. Kung yan ang examiner ko, sigurado na ayaw na mag-coffee. Yes, BFF, ayain natin mag-coffee, yung mga ganito. Parang kamukha siya ni sino yun? Si Hopetown Cha-Cha-Cha. So, yun, kamukha siya. A little, yeah, medyo may feature sila ng hawig sila. Anyways, okay, next, focus. Guys, when it comes to focus, I am referring to listening. Very essential to listening because, as we've mentioned a while ago, you need to know the keywords for this one. Okay, so you have to listen first so that you know what your answer will be all about. Okay, next, relax. After you've heard the question, relax niyo yung sarili niyo when it comes to your answer so that you will be able to give a substantial answer then. Okay? Di naman tinetest dito if you're really intelligent or let's say you know highfalutin words or something like that. What is being tested here is if you know how to communicate using the English language. If naiintindihan ba yung sinasabi ninyo. So you have to relax. One thing why relaxing is also essential is, medyo practical tip na to since we're following the restrictions or the protocols, since we're following the protocols nowadays, naka-face mask siya guys, di ba? So yung face mask nyo, if you're not relaxed, you will tend to not breathe properly. And if you're not breathing properly, yung oxygen, walang makakarating sa brain. We need the oxygen in our brain so that we can be able to function well, to think well, to straighten our thoughts, to organize our thoughts when it comes to speaking. So kaya dapat relax kayo so that yung breathing ninyo mas maayos din siya. Okay? For some instances, they're allowed to remove their mask. I think it will just be depending on your examiner if okay or not na mag-remove ng mask. But for most who had their speaking test already, naka-mask pa rin sila. Okay? Yan. And one tip, do take note if you're having your exam via Zoom, please do take note of that little, yung tiny red button saying recording. You have to take note that your Zoom interview is being recorded. Otherwise, there is a high chance na uulitin ninyo yung exam. It happened to a student of mine. So, pinaulit yung whole exam. And then, even though she already has, she's already competent enough to get the 7 or even the 7.5, because of her nervousness when she was told, you have to repeat the exam because the recording button was not pressed or something like that. Nangarag na siya. Nag-anxiety attack na siya dun sa second round niya. And mind you, she had 2 rounds of the exam. Tama ba? Yeah, yung second round, complete yun. Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3. So, since the second round was the one that was recorded, so yun yung nag-gradean, yung kinakabahan siyang version. But the first one, yung confident na version, hindi na-record yun. So, if you're taking the exam via Zoom, please take note. Kasi you will see naman if it's being recorded May mag-a-appear na button dyan sa Zoom. Okay, there. Next. Yan. So, these are the do's. Yung mga don'ts, medyo mas marami siya ng konti. Don't be late, guys. Practice nyo na yung coming to the appointments on time because yung time prior to your actual exam is essential for you to calm your nerves. Essential yan for you and also to organize your thoughts as well. And even if you come early dun sa actual exam nyo, do not talk to anybody. Kasi they might influence yung nerves ninyo. If ikaw hindi ka nervous, if the person that you talk to is nervous, pwedeng it can translate to you. It can translate to you. Okay, next, avoid memorized answers. Please. I keep on telling this. Writing and speaking, I catch people with memorized answers. Please do not. If ako na coach lang is able to catch these people, how much more yung mga examiners who have undergone rigorous training, diba? They know it, promise. They really know it. So do not try to use memorized answers. Okay lang po to tell the examiner na not recorded from Camille Villanueva Millavo. Yes, yes. The invigilator is asked to hindi pala. The examiner will record, pero if you cannot see the recording button, you can say to the invigilator, sir or ma'am, it's not recording po, or tell directly to the examiner. So yun. Very good. Thank you for that. Thank you for that question, Camille. Okay. Next, do not say nothing. Because if you say nothing, there's nothing to grade, there's nothing to score. Okay, do not zip your mouth. This is not the time to be quiet. Okay, this is not the time to be quiet. You have to talk for the speaking exam to actually work for you. All right? Next. Don'ts. So the remaining 3 don'ts natin, don't worry about your accent. I've mentioned it a while ago. It's not important for you to have an American accent, or for you to have a British accent or an Australian accent even. Even if you can do it, do not do it. Because why? If you started your part 1 with an let's say British accent, and then you can't do it because for part 2 you're confused already. Do not try to do it, because you need to focus your mind on just actually answering, and not on the aesthetics in terms of the sound or the accent. No, it's not your priority. In fact, you can be understood even if you just have a neutral accent. I do have a neutral accent, but I hope you understand how I talk, right? Do you? Malinaw naman po ako magsalita, no? Okay, thank you so much. Next, do not be a show-off. What do I mean by do not be a show-off? Highfalutin words are non-essentials. Parang hindi siya lugaw, guys. It's a non-essential, yung mga highfalutin words. If you have words that are higher in terms of vocabulary scores, well, you can use them. But if it is something that hinders you from speaking fluently and from having a continuous and coherent answer, please do not give much more importance to that. Kasi I'd rather go for a more fluent answer than something that is, or an answer that has highfalutin and big words and complex structures in terms of the sentences, pero always siya, parang laging naglalag. May loading moment all the time. May pauses because you need to think, what's a better word for, let's say, hard? So yung mga ganun, or difficult, yung mga ganyan. So okay na, you can use your ordinary and normal words that you use. But what's important is for you to be able to relay your message well. So yun yung pinaka-importante dito. Okay? Next, do not hesitate. So huwag kayong mag-hesitate, because sometimes if you hesitate, nararamdaman din siya ng examiner and it does not translate well to your grades. Okay, there you go. So meron tayong marami pang mga don'ts, but I'm sure that you know several of these already. We will do part 1. Ay, wala. I will not show you the question pala. We will do part 1. Let me just...
I nominate BFF, Miss Sarah.
Ay, Miss Sarah. Miss Sarah from...
IFNG.
May nomination na ganyan. From IFNG. Okay.
Sarah.
Si Miss Sarah daw.
Sarah.
Yan. Sige, si Miss Sarah na siya. Miss Sarah? Naka-unmute na ba si Miss Sarah? Why? Ang ganda ng boses ni Miss Sarah. Okay, sige. I will be asking you questions for part, kaya pa naman, 10 o'clock pa. Okay, sige, let's do this. We can try 3 sets for part 1 up until part 3. Okay, let's do this. Miss Sarah, where are you located, by the way?
I am currently residing in a local council in Ordoneta City, Pangasinan,
okay.
and it is Ay, hindi
Ay,
pa
okay
ba
po.
start?
So, hindi pa po nagsa-start. Ay, gusto ko yung spirit ni Miss Sarah.
Yes.
On the go na talaga siya. Very alert. Okay yan. Okay yung mga ganyan. Kasi sometimes your examiners will not give you cues na, okay, start na tayo or yan. Minsan hindi. Okay, so very alert. Ma'am Sarah, since you're in Ordaneta, here in the Philippines, we usually have our exams hindi pala face to face, via Zoom. Pero even if it's via Zoom, you're still wearing your face mask. So can I request that you wear your face mask po?
Sure, ma'am.
Sure. Thank you so much. Ay, open cam. Oo nga, sige. Open cam daw.
Ma'am, I'm not prepared for open.
We're not prepared. Naka-face mask naman. Charot. May face
The
mask
whole time,
naman.
can it be just a snap then?
Okay. Sige po. Hindi natin muna, sorry Miss Mimi Moon, ano muna, ako muna mag-open cam, si Miss Sarah, okay lang magsasalita na si Miss Sarah naman. Sige, let's do this. I will be sharing the task description later on via the Zoom chat box, if it's okay. Okay, there. Good day, this is your speaking test. May I know your full name?
I'm Sarah Carion Pabaira.
How would you like me to call you?
You can call me Sarah.
What can make you smile?
There are a variety of reasons that I am able to smile, but most of it, if I see beautiful flowers around me, there's a sudden motion in my lips that tends to just like enlighten my mood, and I am able to smile.
Are there many flowers in your hometown?
Definitely yes. There are a wide array of flowers around me. I am surrounded in my home by various flower-bearing plants that I planted. And when you go to our town, there is colorful flowers in the streets that I really enjoy when I was walking there. I'm walking there.
When was the last time that you saw a group of people smiling?
When I was working in the hospital, when a patient is about to go home, his family are all happy and they're all shows an enlightenment to their face, and they are really happy that they are about to go home.
Do you notice if someone is making a fake smile?
Definitely yes. Blue steel smile is visible whenever eyes is not also is smiling, and someone can feel if the person in front of him is not giving a genuine smile.
Okay, let's move on and talk about jeans. How often do you wear jeans?
Jeans is a staple mix and matching for my everyday clothes because I feel comfortable when wearing this, and I can go to different places with just wearing jeans and a top.
How much are you willing to spend for a pair of jeans?
I'm quite a frugal individual. That's why I would just spend just enough, around less than 1,000 pesos, and I think that's already will give me a good pair of jeans.
Okay, let's move on now and talk about hairstyle. How long have you had your hair in its current style?
I seldom go to a hairdresser. That's why I just keep my hair whatever it looks like. And in fact, I am the one cutting my hair, and it is one of my hobbies that I enjoy. That's why I seldom change my hairstyle because I cannot think of other styles that will fit me.
Have you been given a haircut that you didn't like?
I cannot remember that I've experienced this kind because I usually go to a trusted hair cutter when I was younger. But when I grew older, I already do that for myself. That's why I always love what I do to my hair.
Okay, thank you. Let's proceed now to part two. I will share the question with you via the application Zoom. Please find your question in the chat box. You'll be given 1 minute to prepare for this question, and your 1 minute preparation will begin as soon as I send the message or the task card. Okay. During your preparation time, you may write notes using your pen and paper.
Okay,
I will tell you later when your time is up also for your preparation. This is your question. Your 1 minute begins now. Pencil down, that's the end of your 1 minute. Whenever you're ready, you can start your answer.
Okay, ma'am. I am not really a business type of person, but surely I am a risk taker. That is why if I would be given a chance, I would love to open my own cafe because opening a cafe will give me a place of my own because as a matter of fact, I love going to different cafe nearby. That's why if I would be given a chance, I will open up my own in the middle of the farmland that I already own. So I'm thinking after 5 years, I would be able to build one because I'm positive enough that after 5 years, I already earned enough money for me to open up a cafe. This coffee shop will have an eccentric design. It will be surrounded by my paintings because I usually paint. That is why I want it to be hang on the walls, and I want the tables to be colored with red and chairs with colored blue. I love I love this kind of design because it will reflect who I am, a typical person who loves vibrant color. And I would love to share the world what is my definition of a cafe. That is why I will start with my community, starting my first store, but I am also planning to open up other cafes in the nearby town as well as to the other places in the Philippines. If I will be given a chance,
Okay,
I
thank
would
you. That's the
share.
end of part two. Let's move on now to part three. What are the risks of running your own business?
There is a numerous setbacks in open up an enterprise because first we cannot control bad circumstances that may happen, such as weather. In opening a food business, it often have seasonal effects. So if ice cream parlor will be open, it will rain a lot. It will not be beneficial. Second hindrance that may occur in opening a business would be its people. There are certain people that we cannot trust. That is why we must have to pick the right employee because employees it's either will give us will put us in the top or will just put us
Okay,
down.
let's talk about small businesses. In what ways do you think can small businesses grow big?
There are there are numerous ways for the small businesses to grow. First, they have to take care of their customers because this will bring them to the pinnacle of success. They must conduct feedbacks or comments. This business must be open to criticism and make it as their way to improve their service. So another thing is to conduct trainings to their employees, not just about work related, but as well as mental mental health trainings for them to be physically fit and physically and mentally fit at all times so they can serve the customers right.
What kind of small businesses will young people have in the future?
In my opinion, young people are nowadays are bright and they are they are uh they are indulged with the internet. That is why I'm thinking they might start small businesses such as online shops that they can sell online. The shop will depend on their interests, of course. Then second, the other youngsters may use the platforms as may use the platform such as YouTube to become an influencer, opening up a channel that will monetize
Okay.
something.
What should be the government's role in promoting small businesses?
The government must have rules separate from the small and the big companies because they have different markets. So I think the government must be lenient in giving consideration to these small businesses. For example, in this amidst of pandemic, they must consider to give allocation for the employees of these certain small businesses because they are really affected by what happened. They did not expect and
Okay,
they did
thank
not
you.
have funds for it.
Thank you so much. That's the end of your speaking test. Wow naman.
Thank you, ma'am. I sound nervous, sorry.
You sound nervous. Yes, you sound nervous. But even though you sound nervous in terms of the content of your answer, yun, content is not actually something that is a part of the criteria, diba? That I've mentioned, yung four marking criteria natin. But if you're someone who gives answers such as the answers that were given by Miss Sarah, I think you can score higher than just a 7. 'Di ba? Parang yung 7 kay Miss Sarah, it's just a 7. Pero si Miss Sarah deserves definitely better than a 7. Higher than a 7. Yup. Correct. 7 ni Miss Mimi Moon, 9.0 na. Good job. Superb.
Oh,
Excellent.
grabe
Excellent
naman.
job. So, conquer your fears talaga. So, just like how Miss Sarah did it, diba? I'm actually, I'm impressed. I'm impressed. Very good. Usually, what I do for my coaching sessions, dito ka na din nilalagay, guys, ha? Paano ba to? How can I share it? Kasi with my output. Wait. I cannot share it with this one. Wait. Let me just edit. Yeah. Okay. I shared it sa chat box. How can I share this one sa Facebook Live?
I'll
Here
share
you
it
go.
post. Ayan.
Ayan, si Miss ano na ba? BFF. Si BFF na ang mag-share. Okay, ayan ako na pala. Ito na lang. Susulat natin ang name ni Miss Sarah. Okay, there. So amazing. Ang galing talaga. So if we will discuss it one by one, hindi naman one by one. I will just have a quick run through. So feedback part by part. First, question that I asked, I already know that you're confident. That's why I changed my set of questions because I know, ay, si Miss Sarah may ibubuga. So, i-challenge natin siya. So, that's why, yeah, the examiners really do that. If they know that you're someone who can really extend in terms of your answers or someone who can elaborate more, they will really try to test your limits. Yung questions na ibibigay ng examiners, if these questions are a little harder than the first few questions, then it's a good thing for you. Kasi ibig sabihin, you're someone na the examiner is challenging when it comes to your ability to speak in English. Not only when it comes to your words or your vocabulary, but also in terms of your understanding of the subject matter, regardless if it's a personal matter, just like the questions in part 1, or yung question in part 2 na specific about businesses, or yung part 3 that I've even introduced, may inimbento ako. Like, I've invented a question about the government pa because I really wanted to challenge you how much yung knowledge mo when it comes to this particular topic. And you didn't fail me. If there are things that we can improve on, I think this is something about, or specifically for grammar, subject-verb agreement. Typical mistake that you have in terms of grammar is yung is and are. Parang, the first one, there is colorful flowers that I see, ganyan. And then the other is, the ice is, or it should be the ice are. Tapos, what else? May isa pang is and are. Ayun, there is numerous setbacks. It's supposed to be there are numerous setbacks. So, ano naman yan? Very minimal naman siya. Tapos, what else? Vocabulary, impressive vocabulary. Hands up in terms of vocabulary. Wala masyadong highfalutin words, no highfalutin words, but I sense collocations, several collocations. And in terms of the use of your language, aside from saying there are various ways, so there are several ways, so iba-iba siya. You're not repeating your words because you have already this varied vocabulary. For my students, I suggest to them to make their own word bank. Diba? Kasi you already have topics in Ielts, regardless if it's writing or in speaking. So you already know the topic. So more or less, you have ideas on the words that might appear. So words such as advantages, disadvantages. So that's why you know how to use setbacks. So, diba? So merong mga problems, ganyan. So there you go. Tapos, what else? Modifiers. You use your modifiers well. As Filipinos, when it comes to speaking in English, we're much really concerned, or we're confident when it comes to the use of the nouns, the pronouns, and the adjectives. But I'm impressed that you're able to use adverbs even. So good job. Keep on doing that. Pronunciation-wise, I did notice something though. You mentioned for part 2, where when you elaborated the business that you would want to build in the future or someday, you mentioned about the coffee shop wherein you would like to hang your paintings because you're an artist. What medium do you use? Sorry, this is off topic. What medium do you use?
Medium of
for arts. Is it watercolor?
No, ma'am. I just, sinabi ko lang, ma'am, pampaganda.
Okay. So prepared.
Yes.
Okay lang. Okay lang may prepared na answers. Okay lang as long as masusupplement yun in the end. Okay. But good job. Kasi impressed ako for that, especially for part 2 because you were able to elaborate it. Siguro, ayun, yun nga. In terms of pronunciation, you said it like this. I want it to be hung on the walls. So yung I want it to be hung on the walls, dapat siya. So in terms of pronunciation, there's a difference. Kasi even if even if the tense was correct, the pronunciation was wrong. So it will still be recorded as a mistake in terms of the tense because the pronunciation was wrong. So yun yung sinasabi natin na importance of pronouncing the words well. Okay? And then part 2, pacing-wise, mabilis siya. That's why I kept on wondering, parang ang dami ng ideas na sinabi ni ma'am, pero hindi pa tapos yung 2 minutes. So yung mga ganun, you can slow down your pacing, relax muna, breathe, tapos talk for a while, and then you can try to change probably if you want to say for the portion. I would rather have my paintings hung on the walls. And I think that it would probably look nice. Yung mga ganun, na-adjust mo yung pacing. It would sound a little more natural in that way.
Natural.
Okay, next. Oo, natural. Kasi yung kanina, a little kabado. Parang yung nervousness mo, lumalabas yung nervousness. Not because wala kang nasasabi, but it's because you're saying too much. Parang yung pacing mo masyado siyang mabilis. Okay, pacing-wise, kailangan medyo i-adjust lang natin siya ng konti. Para you yourself also, you're able to give yourself some time to calm down a little and then talk, yung ganyan. Okay? But good job. What else? Yan. For part 3, it's not as if you had a hard time answering questions for part 3, but in terms of your answer, you were able to elaborate it. That's why hindi ko na siya masyadong na-elongate, because in terms of your elaboration, you're not only the one, you're not the type who just gives simple answers, simple direct answers. Kasi your elaboration, it has something to do with your examples, your opinion, di ba? So may mga techniques tayo on how to elaborate the answers for this one. Okay. And then, ayun, yun lang. Yung last na comment ko, you said, in this amidst of the pandemic, probably some of your mistakes, it's not that you don't know how to say it right. It's just that you are trying to talk fast. That's why nauuna yung nauuna yung mistakes. Nasabi mo na yung mistakes, parang gano'n, and you're not able to correct it. Because sometimes you might think na, pag kinurek ko pa yung mistake, baka mamaya mawala na yung next na thought in line. Parang something like that. Okay? So adjust mo lang yung pacing, relax ka lang para happy-happy tayo. Okay. Yan. Okay, dokes. Good job.
Thank you,
Next,
ma'am, for the opportunity.
thank you so much
Thank you,
also.
ma'am.
Good job. Ayan. Guys, be inspired by Miss Sarah. Yan, nakaka-inspire. Who's next? Sino kaya ang nag-raise na ng hand? Participants. I think someone raised their hand a while ago. Erica Gabriel Ortega, nag-raise ng hand for a question or for a chance to answer? Hindi ko alam kung yung ganun ni Miss Erica ay raising the hand or parang ano ba yan, clap ba yun?
PFF because earlier she sent me a message.
Ay, okay. Sige. We will have Miss Erica. Let me just change the set of questions. Okay.
Open cam, Miss Erica. Open cam.
Oo, open cam. Para happy tayo.
Open cam ba?
Yes.
Ay, ganun ba?
Ay,
Hindi ako
oh my
ready.
gosh. Narinig ko na yung
Kasi
boses. Sa hirapan natin yung question.
Para feel niyo yung
Hirapan natin yung question.
Diba? Push na yan.
Okay. Push na natin.
Is it okay if I don't share my camera kasi hindi ako Facebook ready?
Okay. There you go.
Face mask na lang, madam. Push it.
Oh yeah, face mask. You can do that.
Yes.
Face mask
Face
na lang.
mask. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, wait a second. Okay. Hi.
Okay, let's proceed. All right. Okay, good day. This is your speaking test. May I know your full name?
My name is Erica Gabriel Ortega.
How would you like me to call you?
You can call me Erica.
Can you say something about your routine at work?
Routine at work. I'm currently working as a nurse in Southern Palawan Provincial Hospital in Brooks Point. So usually we start the day or our shift with endorsement. My fellow nurse would usually tell me about or endorse to me the status of each patient and the medicines that they are currently receiving.
Let's now move on and talk about vacations. What did you do last time that you had your vacation?
Last time I had my vacation, I actually have my family and I went to El Nido, Palawan. So we went island hopping and sightseeing also. My son, I taught him how to swim, and it was actually a really good experience.
Do you like to travel alone or with companions?
I can do both. It depends on my purpose or current needs at the moment. If I want to go on soul searching, then I'd rather be alone. But if I want to enjoy the my time with my family, definitely with companion.
Let's talk about your friends. How often do you see them?
Because it's pandemic, I only see them online. Um, I it has been a while since I went outside our house for leisure purposes.
Do you dream at night?
Yes, I do. Recently, I dream a lot about my dad.
Can you say something about your last dream about your dad?
It was kind of traumatic. Actually, I had a nightmare. He died in 2011, and recently I'm having a lot of dream about him. The last time I dreamed about him, it was as if he was suffering from a certain illness, and we didn't know about it, so it was kind of a surprise.
Have you ever had a dream that felt real?
Yes, definitely. There were times, especially before he when it was also in 2011, a week before he died. It really felt so real um that he was about to die. Yeah.
What kinds of things make you cry?
Um, kinds of things. I guess the memory that I have with my father, those things really make me cry because it was kind of traumatic for me. He was murdered in Palawan, and recently I cried about going to Manila because I have to take Ielts. So I'm having a separation anxiety with my son.
Okay, thank you. That's the end of part one. We will move on now to part two. I will share the
Okay.
question via the chat box here in Zoom. Okay, your
Mm-hmm.
timer begins now.
Okay. Sorry.
Pencil down. That's the end of your 1 minute. Whenever you're ready, you can start your answer.
Okay. I'll check the chat box again. Um, okay. I'm not really into the contemporary music. But I do enjoy listening to Mozart or classical music. So I do love listening to Mozart because it relaxes my mind, it frees my thoughts. There are no word biases, whereas compared to songs or music with lyrics, somehow the singer puts words into your mind versus having an instrumental music. When you listen to instrumental music, you're somehow I feel that I can free my soul. I can focus on the things that I read. I can relax. It's as if I have this sort of spiritual connection to that music. Okay. Okay
Okay.
lang po.
All right, let's proceed now to part three. Do you
Mhm.
like the same music as your parents?
Um, yes, my mom usually plays classical music in the morning. So I guess yes.
What are these types of music?
She usually
Mm.
listens to instrumental music, Beethoven and Mozart as well.
Where do you think people enjoy listening to music the most?
Pardon?
Where do you think, or which areas do you think people enjoy listening to music the most?
Which areas you mean places? Am I
Yes, which
correct? Okay.
areas or locations?
Um, Before pandemic, there were a lot of concerts happening in our town, especially during festivals or baragatan in Palawan. Um, right now, I think most people listen to their music in their cell phone with their headphones jacked up, and yeah, I guess those are the places they listen to right now.
Is it better to go to a live concert or to listen to CDs?
Um, I would say it depends on the band. It depends on the band. If you're a fan of this particular group, say for example Celine Dion, I'm also a fan of her. So if she's having a live concert, then definitely I'd love to see her in person, and I wanna hear her sing in person. But if I'm not a fan, I'd rather be at home listening to that particular music.
Do you think that music is getting better as time goes on?
Yes, I would say yes. We have the geniuses of the past, but we also have fresher minds, right? At the present time. So we have new perspectives. We have new ideas coming out, and I wouldn't say any music is bad. Actually, it's actually all music are good for me because they represent the soul of the singer and the musician.
Let's talk about singing. Is it true that
Okay.
anyone can sing with the right training?
I think it really depends on the purpose of singing. If you sing your heart out just because you feel happy or you feel sad, then you don't really need the training. But if you sing because you want to perform in front of a crowd, then I guess you need the training.
For singers or musicians, is it essential for them to be more popular overseas?
For singers, I don't think that's a necessity. I still believe that singing is somewhat we pursue singing because of its art, because of the beauty that it has in it, the soul. We pursue the soul of the songs or the music or the artistry in it. So popularity comes next, or just a bonus of the creativity of the artist.
What can you say about singers and music groups that first became famous through talent shows in television?
Well, I think their experiences or our experiences are unique. So whatever experience whatever experience that they have, whether they gain their popularity through talent shows or whether they are trying to gain popularity or fame through other means, then I don't have any issues with that. Um, I think they're lucky that they were able to join such kinds of competitions.
What can be done about illegal downloading of music?
Oh, that's a tough one. I don't have a lot of perspective regarding illegal downloads of music, but I guess our government can be stricter when it comes to certain websites. For example, in Australia, my cousin lives there, and he said there's no way at all that they can pirate certain movies. So I guess the similar means can be done in the Philippines or other countries as well.
How do you think that the music industry will change in the future?
Hmm. maybe with the current technology that we have, it's kind of, with the current technology that we have, maybe certain music can be produced digitally, or maybe there are sounds that can be edited out of certain noises from our surroundings. Actually, some people are doing it right now. I just can't name a group, but there are certain Disney songs. I think I was able to watch one Discovery music video where they were able to utilize the sound of the nature, creating some sort of orchestra.
Okay, thank you so much. That's the end of your speaking test.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you very
ma'am.
much.
Miss Gabriel, pag open po bukas ng British Council or ng IDP, go ka na bukas. Exam ka na. Ready na si Miss Erica. Ayan.
Thank
Oh,
you very much
guys.
po pang boost ng confidence.
Oo nga. So,
Actually,
yan. Mhm.
first time kong magkaroon ng ganitong jail kasi ang inuuna ko reading, inuuna ko yung reading because the last time I took Ielts was in 2016, tapos na-expire na yung Ielts ko. Natdali ako sa reading eh.
Okay.
6.5, nakakaasa.
Pero okay lang yan, ma'am. So, now you know kung anong kalaban. Alam mo na kung ano
Yeah.
yung mga techniques that you can do. Diba? Agora na.
Mhm.
So, alam mo na yung weakness mo. So, when it comes to the reading, you know how to approach it already. So,
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed it, guys, for all those who are listening and watching, pinahirap ko talaga yung question for Miss Erica. Kasi sobrang habang she was answering, I was finding questions because I need to really test her in terms of the content, in terms of the level of the questions. If you noticed, I gave her questions about the past, I gave her questions about the present, in terms of the government aspect, in terms of the private sector, what else? My future then, di ba? May ganun because I wanted to test if she was given questions about the future, will she be able to use yung tenses about the future also? If she was given a question for a topic as hard as piracy, how will she be able to answer it? So as you can see, there are questions that she was not able to answer directly. But what's important
Mhm.
is she still kept on talking. I like in particular yung part 2 answer of Miss, how should I call you ba? Miss Erica, no? Yan. So yung
Erica,
answer mismo. Yan. Sobrang, wait lang. I'll just send it here, my feedback for Miss Erica. And then here also in the chat box. Yan. Good job. Sobrang impressive. Ano pa ba? Superb. Exemplary. Yung mga ganyan. Very coherent yung mga answers. So, talagang if for example, you think that the hardest part for you in IELTS is reading, probably you can allot most of your time in reading. And then for
Mhm.
speaking, just for continuity lang and para ma-maintain mo yung confidence mo. Sometimes kasi you stutter pa.
Yeah,
Pero
I
basically,
noticed that.
oo.
Oo.
Yung stuttering mo, ma'am, mostly because of yung nervousness mo na lang siguro. So
Yeah,
para mawala yung stuttering, just try to, pwedeng you can find speaking partners or you can join groups. If for example, may mga speaking groups naman din that conduct yung mga mock exams like this, you can do that para you can still develop. Yan. Tapos
Mm.
open cam is the best. True. Open cam is the best. Yan.
Yeah.
I was trying to be serious kasi 'di ba sa IELTS exam, serious yung examiner. You will not really find any clue at all dun sa face ng examiner. Kaya lang pangit kasi pangit sa live pag super serious ng face. Pero anyway, so yun lang. Even if serious yung face, I particularly like also yung natatawa pa si Miss Erica. I like those instances kasi there was one instance that she laughed dun sa part 2 and another instance, part 2 ba yun or part 1? Part 1. And then another instance also for part 2. Very natural. Correct, BFF. It's very natural. And yun yung goal ninyo. Guys, ang goal natin is not to actually impress the examiner, but just to, let them know na, hey, I can speak in English. And I'm speaking in English not only for me to get a 7, but also to show that I can do, I have this skill. So hindi siya parang dress to impress level. Ganon. So, you're speaking just so lang that your message will come across dun sa dun sa speaker tuloy, dun sa examiner. And you did it um seamlessly. May mga mistakes here and there, pero just because you're laughing, it all came down very naturally that it's as if I don't want to end this session. I just want to keep on asking and asking and asking questions. Kasi I know that even if you're sometimes confused, sometimes nervous, diba? Parang you find joy in answering pa din. You're relaxed. So, yung ganun. And yung mga pacing mo, saktong-sakto din yung pacing. Not too fast and not too slow. But although there are instances na you're adjusting your pacing na mas mabagal compared to the other parts. So, pero okay lang. Okay lang. Kasi it sounds natural pa rin. Part 3, yeah, confident. Very good confidence. What else? I'd like to highlight also, yun, yung part 1, I gave a question na what was the routine, yan, that you do at work. So if you're asked for routine, you can use words like first or second, next, yung mga ganyan.
Yeah.
Kasi it's a routine. It happens. Parang a routine is something that you do regularly. Day 1, you do this. Day 2, it's the same thing that you do. So routine, para kay para yung words kasi na ito, it will improve your fluency and your vocabulary as well, di ba? So parang, okay, naintindihan niya that it's a routine that I'm asking about, so that's why you're using words, you're using markers like then, after that, next, yun. So, lastly, I do this, okay, first, I do this,
Yeah.
first thing in the morning, I do this, yung mga ganyan. So, yun. Tapos, what else? Yan, yung part 2, you admitted that you cannot answer. Tapos yun, yung part 2, since you know that you cannot answer, you were able to do comparison as a form of elaboration. Yun nga lang, 1 minute lang siya. So you need to practice that. Record your answer so that ang goal mo is for you to be able to talk for 2 minutes. Adjust mo lang yung pacing mo para you know if you're able to hit already the 2 minutes or not. Okay? Collocations. Do you like to read or watch English shows, movies, mga ganyan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually yung
So,
choice of reading ko lately mga articles. Pero yung
mhm.
books parang halos wala na akong time for that. Pero movies definitely Netflix.
Yeah, Netflix, okay lang. Ako din, I was watching Netflix before, talaga ako, K-drama fanatic. Super. Pero when I was reviewing for Ielts, medyo muna, santabi muna yung mga opa ko. Kasi I need to at least try to mimic what I hear dun sa mga Netflix shows or movies that I was watching back then. So, yun lang. Tapos, ayun, nilakihan ko, all caps talaga, substantial answers. Even though you had a hard time answering yung something about piracy, because you know something about this particular topic, pero not exactly sa piracy itself, pero even in a different context pa nga yung country, yung Australia. So, yun, you were able to use it dun sa answers. So, 2 thumbs. Pwede ba? Hindi, dalawa lang yung thumbs ko. So, I can only give you 2 thumbs up. But if I can give you more than this, I would definitely do so. So, good job. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much sa feedback.
Yay!
Thank you, Remy.
Please do keep on practicing para hindi naman sa ma-improve. Para lang yung kaba mawala, para masanay ka. And be consistent.
Thank you very much.
Thank you also, ma'am. Ayan. So, we still have 15 minutes. Speaking is 11 to 14 minutes. So, one more representative or volunteer. Yeah, happy vibe. So, ganun lang guys, mga happy vibe lang tayo, ganyan. Even if speaking of vibe, so the first impression nyo also matters pala dun sa examiner. So, you can smile even if naka-face mask kayo, di ba? When you're smiling, di ba yung eyes nyo lumiliit siya yung dito. So, halataan naman na nagsismile kayo. So, para positive energy din yung kinukonvey. Okay. Take the opportunity na, guys. Habang may boses pa ako. Happy pa naman ako dito. So, Tingnan natin. Kung magpapalit ako ng questions. Kasi usually, interview portion pa lang, I am already gauging the capacity of the student to speak. So, carry bells na. Cora, boom, boom. Okay, next.
Who is next?
Isa na lang. Sino
Isa na
pa?
lang.
May
Wala
isa pa
kayo.
yan. Oo,
Sayang
last chance na to. Minsan lang to, guys.
Na-deprive kayo sa mock. Ayan.
Oo nga. Yung mga sino ba yung mga estudyante na sinasabi, ma'am, full na po yung schedule nyo. Okay, if you're here, go na, volunteer na.
Oh.
Thank you also, Miss Erica. Ay, si Miss Jo. Ayan, nag-direct message siya.
Ayan.
Miss Jo. Ayan. Sino si Miss Jo? Miss Jo, can you turn on your cam? Kahit naka-face mask ka,
Hi.
verify lang.
Open
Hello.
hand.
Can you hear
Hi. Ito na pressure na ako. Mukhang magaling. Tunog magaling. Mga
Pag
tunog
ganun,
magagaling, mga hinahari. Oo, kasi
tumatakbo na po ang
sayang.
puso ko, ma'am.
Basta
Ganyan.
BFF maganda tayo.
Oo. Ano yung motto namin ni BFF? Ang ano yun?
100% na ito, ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay, wait lang po, ha?
Okay, sige. Let's proceed.
Hi.
Okay. Yan. Mag-on ba ng camera si
Ay.
Miss Jo?
Ano siya, BFF?
Ito na po, ma'am. Ay,
Ano siya?
naka-on na siya, ma'am. Baka iba pong
Okay.
view yun.
Tama, naka-on na. Tingnan natin.
Hmm?
Okay, dokes. Ayan, naka-on na. Ay, ang ganda ng background ni Madam. Okay.
Thank you,
sige.
ma'am.
Ako rin.
Talagang
Papagawa
blinner
ako
ko
sa
po yan.
Jupatid ko. Papagawa ko kay brother ng ganyan. Okay, Miss Jo, this is it.
Yes.
Good
Fantastic.
day. This is your speaking test. May I know your full name?
Good morning. I am Joan Saya.
How would you like me to call you?
You can call me Jo.
Okay, Jo, can you please describe the house that you grew up in?
The house that I grew up in is something that we own. I believe we bought it when I was 2 years old. I actually do not remember moving from the house that we rented into that house. But growing up in that house, in that bungalow in our street, where we know our neighbors, is much different from the house that we are in right now. Because right now we
Okay.
somehow
What do you like doing most with your friends?
actually, to be honest, I love judging with my friends. I love judging other people with my friends. It may sound so selfish, but we do that. Anyway, we love chatting and hanging out, having coffee. But most of all, we love eating. And we love eating a lot.
Do you prefer to have one particular friend or a group of friends?
Actually, that depends. Depends on my mood. There are times that I prefer to be with someone that I am very close with, and there are times that I prefer to be with a bunch of people who have the same interests as mine. And I think right now I prefer to be with a large group of people because since the pandemic started, I haven't been in touch with more than 2 people in one
Okay.
area.
Which instrument do you like listening to the most?
I love Well, actually, there are a lot of instruments that I love listening to. I play the guitar. Sometime during my childhood years, I play with the piano. But right now, I think I prefer listening to the guitar. It's something that I would like to refresh because I have been self-taught, and I now forget what the chords are, but I would like to refresh my memory.
Is it
And
easy to learn playing an instrument without a teacher?
I believe it will be easy if you really want to learn playing that instrument. So from my experience, since I'm self-taught in playing the guitar, I found it easy. And in a short period of time, I was able to do or play all the chords in a song that I wanted to play. And I was able to play several songs, I think within a month of um, just watching and learning them by myself. And uh, I believe it depends on how the person's interests affect the, the the desire for learning.
Do you play online games?
I actually don't, but I have friends who do, and they actually gamble online. And most of the people that I know are good at playing online games, and um, they would sometimes end up buying groceries for their family. They would also end up buying a bunch of things um, to surprise their wives with uh, something
Okay.
like
What do you
mhm.
think of people who gamble?
Well, actually, in the past, I have gambled myself. I did some I entered into some investments and some of the investment scams. So I lost more than I should. And I think it's a huge lesson for me, but for the people who usually gamble and are used to gambling, I think with them, it's already innate and it's a difficult habit to remove. So,
Okay, thank you. That's the end of part one. We will move on now to part two. The
mhm,
question will be shared via the chat box here in Zoom, and
mhm,
then you will be given a minute to prepare for this question. As you prepare, you may write notes using your pen and paper. Your timer
mhm,
will begin as soon as you receive your question.
okay.
Your 1 minute begins now.
Mhm.
Okay, pencil down. That's the end of your 1 minute. Whenever you're ready, you can start your answer.
Mhm. So there's a person who I know and who's open to show her feelings, and she's a friend that I knew during my childhood days. She was a neighbor, and I could say that she is a sincere person because all of her feelings show in her face and in her actuations. So there are times that um, she can already, because of her sincerity, she can already guess or maybe interpret how I feel more than I can verbalize my feelings. And this person who I grew up with is um, is quite intelligent, I would say. Um, she is never an A student, but she would know how you feel, and she knows how to um how to put herself in your shoes in such a way that she can give unsolicited advice that you can take in and not uh, take it against her. So I believe this attitude of hers is something that I would want to emulate because I'm an introverted person, and um, a lot of people likes her for being herself because she is so transparent. Um, she cannot hide actually. She has a difficulty
Okay,
with
thank you.
telling a lie. Mhm.
That's the end of part 2. We move on now to part 3. Do people in your country usually show their feelings?
Oh yes, I believe so. Most of the people that I see in social media are very open towards their feelings. Um, you can see there how people relate to each other and how people speak to each other using their keyboards without without them seeing each other. I I think we are fierce when we show our feelings, and um uh, uh, well the the better part of that, or I would say the advantage of that though, is that when we show our feelings openly, we tend to get what we want, especially when we want to like convince a person.
Okay. Do children show feelings more than adults?
I think yes, they do, because for them it's difficult to hide feelings. It won't be easy for a child um, to keep what he feels inside him. It's more. I think that children are more natural in showing how they feel about certain things, and in asking for what they want. They are more direct in trying to converse with us, and they don't use flowery words, or they don't use a front to express what they want and what they do not want.
What are some reasons why people might hide their feelings?
I could think of a few reasons. One of them would be that they might be judged. Um, another reason would be that they will not receive the the reaction that the other person that they are sharing their feelings with. Maybe fear of what the person might think of them. Um, and I think that's what those are the feelings that I have, since I'm an introverted person.
What are
It's
the
kind of
advantages of showing your emotions?
hmm. Oh well, one advantage that I could think of is that you would be able to get the answer right away. So no more waiting time. You just have to uh, say how you feel, and then uh, wait for the answer. Another advantage is that they will accept you as you are. When you show your feelings right away, you would know the people who would want to be with you and the people who do not like to be around you. So it's easy to gauge your crowd when you openly express your feelings, I guess.
Are men and women equally emotional?
That depends actually. I know of quite a few men who are more vocal when it comes to their feelings, but and I also know quite a few women who are good at hiding their feelings. So I would say it really depend. It would depend on the individual's personality, and or it could also depend on the one that they are talking to, uh, if they would openly express their feelings or not.
Okay, thank you. That's the end of your speaking test. Nice.
Okay, I'm dead.
Miss Jo. Okay, sige. Emotions. Coincidentally, you were an introvert and then I asked you questions about emotions. I don't know kung nagsadya lang ba siya. But anyway, for the others, for those students that I asked these questions, if they're an introvert, it's hard for them to answer the question. But I'm impressed in such a way that even if you're a person who's having a hard time in terms of explaining about your emotions, you still manage to go through your answers and give elaborations when it comes to this. Even if I asked most of the questions about emotions, and even if you repeatedly said that you are an introvert, so there are still answers that came about probably, if not from your experience, probably experiences from other people that you knew. So okay lang. You can remove na pala yung mask ninyo. Okay lang, para makahinga. Okay?
Okay lang po.
Tapos, what else? So, in terms of yung tone, very relaxed yung tone. In general, relaxed. Yung part 1, medyo ano pa, happy-happy. Kasi nga, very, ano pa yung easy questions pa. Easy breezy yung
Oo.
questions. Easy peasy siya, di ba? Parang warm
Yeah.
up. Tapos,
Yeah.
naging serious na yung part 2. Tapos, super serious na yung part 2. Siguro if you can just sustain your energy from part 1 up until part 2, kung meron, ay part 3, yan. Kung meron mga instances that you can still laugh about it or give anecdotes about, so pwedeng you can do that, okay? So para enjoyable.
Yeah.
It's nice to hear your answers kasi may substance din yung answers mo. Good job, very good. Yung answers mo, ma'am, for the questions, you're a person that I know is alert. Parang that is why if I ask you a question, particularly for close-ended questions, direct answers agad yung sagot mo. So it's easy that way kasi you know naman that all throughout the 11 or 14 minutes na speaking test, kabado ka talaga all throughout. So if you're kabado tapos hindi ka nagbibigay ng answer right then and there, you might risk that your answer is something na ma-off topic ka in the middle. Or parang if you would give long introductions, parang malulos ka na, ano na nga ulit yung question? Hindi na uulitin yung question, di ba? So yun, kaya good strategy yan na direct answer muna. Yung elaboration, it can follow naman. So you're able to elaborate. So basta laging direct answers muna para at least na-hit mo na yung question. Okay? For part 2, I'm not requiring, actually, hindi naman kailangan. But if you can manage to have idioms, why not? In particular, for this topic, kasi di ba, the topic is about a person you know who shows his or her feelings openly. We have a certain idiom for this eh. This is a person who wears his or her heart out on his or her sleeve. So yun, kung sometimes lang, hindi pala sometimes, yun nga, much like we are not used to using adverbs, hindi rin tayo sanay to use idiomatic expressions. So, but if you would want to expose yourself to idiomatic expressions, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that do not let this hinder you from speaking fluently. So, I know, ayan, nagaganon kayo. You were nodding a while ago when I mentioned about this particular idiom. So, you know this idiom. It's just that, hindi mo siya naisip nung nag-a-answer ka. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's definitely okay. Because if you, for example, if you tried to pause because you were thinking, it's at the tip of my tongue, what's that idiom? What's that idiom? Or parang you were pausing, parang awkward na siya. So, you will not have higher scores for your vocabulary, and aside from that, mamaminosan ka pa for your fluency. So do not prioritize your fluency, do not prioritize your vocabulary at the expense of your fluency. Kasi yun yung minsan natin na parang we're trying to think of better terms, or more high-level vocabulary at the expense of your fluency. So, kaya nagpo-pause, kaya nag-waste ng time minsan kasi you're thinking of these words. So, one of my favorite coaches said to me, kasi ganun yung pabida rin kasi ako dati. So, lagi ako nagpo-pause because I was thinking of an improvement. Lagi kong nile-level up yung words ko. Sabi niya, you cannot think of the word if, for example, lumampas na yung 2 seconds, count lang sa mind mo. 1, 2. Pag wala siya dun sa ika-second na second, so wala na. Let go mo na. Parang love life lang na hindi nag-work. I-let go mo na. Pag hindi nag-work, let go. Okay? Kasi may pwedeng dadating pa in the future. So, ganun lang din. Parang Ielts lang. Let go mo na yun. Okay? So, para ma-enjoy mo din yung buong process. Hindi kayong parang all the time you're pressured to answer. Okay? Kasi vocabulary-wise naman, ma'am, you're strong when it comes to your vocabulary. Kasi meron kang mga varied words that you were able to use. Plus, in terms of your ideas, hindi ka nabablanko sa ideas mo. So, yun. Siguro from that, yung transition lang from one idea to another, sometimes you're just having, parang may glitch lang ng konti. But it's a continuous process for your answer. So, yun. Tapos, what else? Yan. What I love about you is yung pacing mo, ma'am. You're adjusting it accordingly. Kasi, what is the topic that we have again? Feelings, emotions. So, minsan may sad emotions, minsan may happy emotions. So, whenever you're talking about something that is sad or something that, parang yung kanina din kay Miss Erica, di ba? If she's talking about something that is sad or something that is happy, yung pacing nag-a-adjust din accordingly. Depending on the context, depending on your answer as well. So, ganun din. Parang natural conversation lang din natin, di ba? If you're talking in Filipino, nag-a-adjust din siya. Pag masaya yung pinag-uusapan mo, pwedeng mas mabilis ka magsalita. Pero kung minsan, pag malungkot, or if you're a little unsure, so pwedeng nag-a-adjust siya, bumabagal. Also, sometimes, it's also true for English. You can also adjust your pacing sometimes. Yeah. So, para at least, pagka for your listener, it's not also boring to hear. For the examiner, di ba, parang boring naman to, monotonous yung tono. Hindi ganon, okay? But your tone is something that you can improve on pa. Content-wise is good. So, expose yourself to these kinds of questions. Going back to what you've mentioned about equality, yung personality mo, you're an introvert. So, sometimes, since your personality is, since you're an introvert, sometimes there are types of questions that are harder for you to answer. Diba? So kasi nga introvert ka, you're not used to answering questions about yourself or about society or about relationships, yung mga ganyan. So expose yourselves to these kinds of questions para when it comes to the time that, for example, this is the question that was given or that will be given to you, hindi ka na masyadong nag-aalinlangan. So you're not hindered or it doesn't serve as a setback for your answer. So regardless if you're introvert or not, you are capable in answering. So yun. Thank you so much. Congratulations po, ma'am. Just keep on being consistent when it comes to your practicing and practicing and practicing. And by practice for speaking, I mean to say talk. Guys, you have to speak. You have to speak. For the others, yung mga, how many participants do we have on Facebook? Hindi ko na mabilang. Okay, yung mga 143 na sa titira. Ay, 202. Okay, sorry. Yung 202 na participants on Facebook. And how many participants we have here? Yan, yung 40 plus participants natin dito on Zoom. Guys, yung mga hindi nag-participate, it's okay. But I just want to extend again and to repeat that it's important for speaking. The manner by which you can improve yourself is to actually talk. Yan. Kailangan magsalita kayo. Hindi pwedeng nakikinig ka lang sa mga taong nagsasalita. Kasi sa speaking practice, sa speaking test mo itself, hindi ka naman nakikinig lang. Si examiner yung nakikinig sa'yo, pero ikaw magsasalita ka talaga. So, you have to really speak and speak and speak. Okay? So, it's better for you to speak in practicing this kind of subtest because this is a productive skill. So, you produce sounds, you produce words and sentences. So, that's why it's important for you to speak for the speaking subtest. And in terms of writing also, ganun din. You also have to write. So for productive skills, you have to produce output. Okay, so it's different for the other kinds of skills. Okay, thank you so much for all the participants that extended up until the last minute that you're here. It's a good and productive session that we have. I'm proud of all of you guys, for all the members of IFNG, for all the nurses, regardless of your profession, whatever it is that you're aiming for. My hope is that in due time you will be able to achieve the score that you need so that you will be able to go to your country, whether it's for school purposes or whether it's for professional purposes or migration purposes. My prayer is that you'll be able to achieve that goal. Okay, and with regard to helping you guys, IFNG is always here, and as well as 9.09er. Okay, and let me just repeat, on October 27, that will be next week, same time, same place. So that's Wednesday, 9 to 11 p.m. Sir Irvin Neil Temporal will be here to assist us. The topic of his talk for next week will be visa processing for USA, UK, Canada, Australia, Ireland, and New Zealand. So if ever you have any questions, you can extend that for next week's session. Still the same, you will have to log in, I think, yeah, watch Facebook live sessions and IFNG Facebook group. Thank you so much again, IFNG, and good night. Ano ba? Do we have other reminders, announcements?
Okay, so
Thank you. Wait, Miss
Sam?
Gladys. Thank you, Miss Den. Thank you
Miss
for the
Den.
whole time that you were here at IFNG. We're honored and happy that you're part of the team. Thank you, Miss Den.
Thank you also, IFNG family.
Okay, before we end this, we would like to greet one of, well, he's not one, he's the reason why this group was created. So, Sir Jeff, aka Deadpool, so happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Sir Jeff.
Happy birthday!
Alam namin, papunta ka ng work, so ingat ka. Okay, so,
Ingat and enjoy your night, Sir Jeff.
okay, so ayun, happy birthday to you. So ingat po everyone and good night from the Philippines. Bye-bye.
Good night, everyone. God bless. Keep safe.
Happy birthday, Sir Jeff.